Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hello, 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 my loves. Gosh, that's recklessly overfamiliar. My apologies. Hello, learners and internet friends. And ooh, gosh, I suppose internet frenemies as well. Although I guess it would be weird for y'all to be spending time watching this if we didn't get along a little bit. So, gosh, we are almost done. We are come all the way through this boot camp. We're doing some more CSS stuff. And today, I already promised you. Oh, and I see Baking's saying exactly the point I was going to make, say accessibility. Didn't we already do this? Y'all heard me say back when we did accessibility for HTML, hey, we're explicitly learning some accessibility concepts for HTML, but we're not going to only put accessibility in this 1 week box. We're going to hear about it again and again and again. And part of us hearing about it is me being mean and saying, hey, we can't forget about accessibility. But also, we're going to come and focus on accessibility in CSS today. Hey. Okay, so, and I'm going to ask way more questions for folks in the chat. So please, 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 what is accessibility again? All of y'all tend to explain this way better than me. So, yeah, give me a couple different definitions for accessibility while I start taking a look at some of our notes. If you no, gosh, I'm sorry. I Baking was joking, and sorry, I should have read. It does read like a joke. You're wonderful. Um, I forgot that my tone is, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So accessibility is sort of us as web developers, us as web designers, us as people making stuff for the web, making it possible for users or potential users from a wide range of different access needs to be able to use our websites. And we had a acronym that started with P. This is as close as you get to a really, really stressful live quiz. We had an acronym that started with P around accessibility. Does anybody remember what that was? And Eda, if you're in the chat and you want to cheat and tell us what it was. Sorry, y'all. I'm always lightly fussing at Eda to get more credit for how good and smart she is. Speaking of, if you note that these notes look especially good today, Eda. So, accessibility, the practice of, heck yes, Eda, thank you. It was poor studying that we want to make sure that the things on our websites are perceivable for learners. Y'all are the learners. For you might be making an ed tech platform, you might be making a tutorial website, you might have learners, but your users need to be able to perceive the information. And we're going to be talking about this today, how to hide or reveal information to different classes of users. Observable. Oh, I'm gonna grab the poor acronym. Oh, actually, Eda, could I ask you to grab the poor acronym? I used to have it on a sticky note on my computer, and it sounds like it needs to go back there. So best practices for accessibility in CSS. First of all, what are some things we need to think about? And contrast is going to come up again and again. Contrast is making sure that the text on our website or the content on our website is different enough from elements it sits next to and different enough for the background that we can perceive it. Red. And there's some helpful tools. So WebAIM has a contrast checker. TPGI has a color contrast analyzer, which is sort of you download it, it's much more oofty. I'm not sure if that's a real word. It's much more involved. But both of these, and there's other really, really helpful contrast checkers on the web. And all of these are going to check that they meet the web content accessibility guidelines. Stunning. Abyss got there before me. Perceivable. So our goals for making things accessible are users from different need sets can perceive the content on your page. They can operate it. They can do all the stuff that's doable on your page. They can understand the information that's been presented, and robust. Here, when we say robust, we really mean sort of a type of backwards compatibility to say, hey, this has been designed in a way where if the W3C continues to exist and if web standards continue to exist 20 years from now, or 100 years from now, or 1,000 years from now, that the way you've written your code should still hold up for the future. Yeah. So this one is something I'd also like to ask y'all about is we're going to learn some best practices for hiding content. And we're going to look at a way to hide content from screen readers. And we're going to look at a way to hide content from just the visual flow, but make it available for screen readers. Can folks in the chat give me some examples why might I want to have content that's only available for screen reader users? Or what might be an example of a type of content that I want to make available for visually, but then I want to remove from screen reader so sorry, remove from being perceived for folks using assistive technologies. My apologies, I've just got a nice little scratchy throat this week. It's the dangers of spending more time in the pottery studio. And remember, y'all just hit me with questions anytime. There's no such thing as a silly question. I try and model peak silliness all the time so that y'all never feel silly. So if we're hiding content on a web page, we need to make sure it doesn't compromise accessibility. So if you use display none in your CSS, it'll mean, hey, this content is not going to show up visually on the page, and it's not going to be in the accessibility tree. So assistive technologies will it'll be hidden from assistive technologies as well. Using visibility hidden means that, hey, let me highlight you. Thank you. Using visibility hidden means, cool, the content will be visually hidden, but it stays in the document. But it's also removed from the accessibility tree. So even though display none and visibility hidden are designed to do different things, the net effect is kind of similar. Oh, I see a really good question. I'm going to save that. Oh, I see two really good. I'm going to get right to y'all in a second. I promise I'm not ignoring you. But so right now we've learned two different ways to hide visual content, but they both remove things from the accessibility tree as well, meaning they're gone for folks looking visually at the website and for folks using assistive technologies. We can use a secret hint. Oh, and I asked like, hey, when might we want to hide something from screen reader users? We'd probably want to hide purely decorative items from screen readers. If it's okay, I'm going to show y'all. Please, please, please fuss at me because I've talked to y'all about how I need to. I've mostly finished my website, my new website. I just need to finish it. No, that's not the point. But here is my sort of hire me page. No, that's not relevant for any of you. But what I've done is all of these, and these are, I believe I chose to do this with ARIA, which is one of the questions we've got, are hidden from screen reader, the accessibility tree, because they're just little flowers that folks don't need. Oh, and this one's a really good one. Edda's just like, yes. But when we're talking about the kind of content that visually is less important, but a screen reader might need, skip to main content. So if you're building a portfolio web page and you're like, blah, 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 so like cute little intro, or if you're building a recipe page, y'all know how recipe pages these days have 47 paragraphs of once on a moonlit night, my great grandmother went for a walk. Nope. Adding a jump to, boop, here is the main content for screen reader users, gives them a bit of an out where they don't have to listen to your great grandma's anecdote. I would argue that's merciful for anybody on a recipe page, though. So in order to do that, in order to hide something visually and make sure it's still available to folks using assistive technologies, we can use the screen reader only technique. It's a common technique. I like to call it a hack, but it's commonly used enough where it's probably not considered a hack. But this is a way to completely hide something visually, but make sure it's still available within the accessibility tree and still available to folks using assistive technology. So to do this, we're going to define a CSS class. Here, this one's called SR only. But this is your CSS class. You could name it whatever you want. This is called SR only because this is really human readable for us, yeah? Like, hey, this is the class I want to apply to elements that are only perceivable, that I'd only like to make perceivable to folks using screen readers. And this is doing a bunch of different things. Oh gosh. So here, say, hey, I want the position to be absolute for any elements that have this class. Keep them where they are. I want this to only be 1 pixel wide. I want this to only be 1 pixel tall. No matter what's in this element, make the size on the screen 1 pixel, just a little tiny little square. Don't give me any padding. And do you know what the margin? I want it -1 pixel. Like go ahead and whoop, zoop it all the way to the side. Don't worry about overflow. Keep that hidden. And this clip, I don't think we've looked at clip yet. Let's look at it together. Gosh. Oh, this one's telling us not to do it. We're saying clip path instead these days? Okay, okay. So here, what clip is letting us do is it defines the visible portion of an element. You have to use position absolute or position fixed, but here it's saying, hey, how much of this element do you want to make visually available? And let's come back to our, oh, heck, I'm so sorry, team. I did not give you the MDN for that. My apologies. So coming back here, the clip, how much visually we want to make available? None, 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 none. And for white space, don't wrap this around. Don't give me that extra white space. The border, nothing. Here, what I'm doing with this class is I'm like, keep it in the right spot, make it as small as we possibly can, and then don't add any padding, chuck it to the side, don't add any white space, don't add any overflow space. I want to make this visually not there, but within the I don't. So I was saying, hey, the clip looks like it's deprecated. It's like it's commonly used. This might be something for us to update Free Code Camp with later. And if we wanted to use that, here, I've got a really good example of a paragraph with the class screen reader only and hidden text. And here, the paragraph visible text. Can somebody who is not me and not Etta, anybody who has a moment, from this example, what would be visible? Oh, so 2 questions. Number 1, can you tell me what would show on your page to folks not using assistive technology? What would be visually available? And number 2, can somebody tell me which of these paragraph tags or both or something else would be perceivable for someone using a screen reader? And as a note, using the hidden attribute for hiding the content's visibility is something we can do. But again, that removes the content from being visually available on the page and removes it from the accessibility tree. So we've got 3 ways to do pretty much the same thing, which is the hidden attribute. We're going to come all the way back up, visibility hidden, and display none. I'll remove an element from being visually available on the page, but also remove it from the accessibility tree, which is not exactly what we want. Abyss has absolutely got my back on this and saying, hey. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. If we use a screen reader, and y'all can copy and paste this, you can keep it, you can put it in your pocket. If we've written a class like this and we have this in our HTML, line 2, visible text would be displayed on our page. But for someone using assistive technology like a screen reader, they would be able to perceive both line 1, hidden text, and line 2, visible text. Stunning. So hidden, this means that somebody using a screen reader wouldn't be able to see line 1, or wouldn't be able to perceive line 1, but also someone looking at the page wouldn't be able to perceive line 1. It's been removed from both the accessibility tree and the visual content, so it's pretty much gone unless you look at the code. Okay, let's look at some of these questions. So where does hiding content via CSS versus ARIA take precedent? Or are they applied for different reasons that don't involve hierarchy? Ooh, hmm, this is a really good, thoughtful question. Do you know what? This might be a philosophical question that I don't have a really detailed answer to. Oh, cool. I see one more question. I'm going to get this in it as well. So if it's me personally, these days I would almost always do this via ARIA. And I'm not sure if that's muscle memory for me and it's just like a habit or if there's a best practice. Hmm. You can hear me tap, tap, tapping. Hmm. Yeah, if it's okay, this is not a very helpful immediate answer. I'm going to make a quick note. And by quick note, I mean screenshot this and drop it into my to-dos of this question and come back to it. Yeah, I don't have a really, really detailed answer for this. So I kind of unthinkingly have been doing this with ARIA over CSS. So this is an especially good question. I'll try and bring you a better answer tomorrow if that's okay. That's what he's saying. Okay, but why? Why would I want to hide something visually, but still have it available to screen readers? And really helpfully, you're saying, hey, I can only think of design applications. And that's really usually what I would do as well. So if you have, I briefly showed on my own website, I've got some little emoji as the decorative bullet points for a list. I don't want a screen reader to come through and read for someone else pink flower and then the bullet point. I want to go ahead and hide that. That's not actually useful. Whenever something's purely decorative, that might be useful, worth considering. Thank you. It's a really good question. Hmm. Oh, and this is a good question as well. Thank you, Abyss. Abyss is saying like, okay, but if we wanted to hide something from visual presentation and the accessibility tree, couldn't we comment it out? I, I'm just commenting code out as a way of removing code from being rendered by the user's browser and shown. And HTML, oh, heck, and CSS both have different ways to write comments. Edit, could I get you to grab the link for HTML and CSS comments, if that's okay? So being able to write comments in your code can be really, really useful for leaving yourself a note for later or leaving another developer working with that code sort of a context clue to say, hey, by the way, this CSS looks weird. Don't touch it. You'll break everything. Can be a lifesaver for somebody else coming to look at your code. But one thing you can do is if you've got you've got an element or you've got a piece of code or you've got a section on the web page, you want to say, hey, I want to completely remove this from visual presentation and the accessibility tree, starting a comment before that content and ending the comment after it will mean it's still in your HTML or it's still in your CSS, but by wrapping it in a comment, you've told the browser to skip it. It's not necessarily a better way, but it's a different way. Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry, that's very unhelpful. Like, oh, it's just different. Gosh, we've got a bunch of really, really good comments. And Eulado makes a solid point. So, okay, but commenting and uncommenting usually lets you like pick a little tiny section of code. But if you want to say like an entire class or like being able to remove things with CSS or ARIA can be really useful. Where am I? Who am I? And yeah, and folks are also talking about, oh, what about with JavaScript? I'm sorry, like JavaScript is a big thing. We aren't covering it in this course just because teaching folks HTML and CSS and accessibility and design and JavaScript all together, brutal. The question is there a website that lets us change our views to see what would be showing in a view for a screen? Okay, so is there a way so I think what this question is asking is there a way for us as developers to see what, to experience what our website would look like, for example, in different browsers, or to experience what our browser would look like with a screen reader? And I'm not sure about a discrete website for this, but what I would talk about is this being really important as a form of testing. So going ahead and looking for the built-in screen reader in your operating system or looking for a third-party screen reader and testing your website for accessibility can be a really, really useful one. I'm so sorry that like screen reader type, yeah, oh gosh, and it is really, really helpfully dropped. Cool. In the chat, there's like links to screen reader testing. So I can't think of a specific website that does this really helpfully all in one place, but I love, love, love that you touched on how do we test this? And I was like, oh, you test it by trying it out with a different type of screen reader, if that's okay. So where am I? Who am I? So that's not a very relaxing question, is it? So we're going to go through a couple of these exercises together for Build a Quiz webpage, but we're going to look at the Build a Tribute page first, if that's okay. And we're asking y'all to build a tribute page on your own. Thank you. And it's going to sound like I'm a broken record, but please, please, please be as creative as you can be. So we're going to take a look at the example project. Oh gosh, so here's a tribute page. So this is a tribute to a person, or I guess it could be an animal, or I guess it could be a fictional entity. So this is somebody who, or something, that did something really, really great, and you personally admire them. So here's Dr. Norman Borlaug. Um, we've got a timeline of Dr. Borlaug's life. Ooh, Great Depression, exciting times. Oh, he was married for 69 years. That is a long time to hang out with somebody. So here's sort of a timeline of what happened. A link to the Wikipedia entry, but here's somebody who worked on different types of strains of wheat to increase wheat yields and try and make sure more people had food. Yeah. So have a think about who you want to do as your tribute page. I usually do Kato Loam, and I usually pick Kato Loam because I'm really interested in languages. Oh, somebody said that in a past iteration of doing this course, they did Houdini. Don't give us any Houdinis. Well, there's like a 6-month limit on spoiler warnings, huh? Like, yeah, Houdini's super, super interesting. It's always a little bit disappointing how he ended his career, life. So I always do one on Kato Loam because she was a really interesting polyglot. She spoke a whole bunch of different languages, and she did it by self-studying. Every time I build a tribute page for her, I feel really guilty because I never sit down and study. But let's come back to this tab. And we've got our user stories again, and these are going to feel more and more relatable, more and more. The flow is going to feel easier and easier. The layout's a little bit different because our code, our console, oh heck, are also all sort of expanded out a bit. Our test output will go here. This is giving us an interaction like a user interface that feels a lot more like what using a text editor or using other kinds of code tools will feel like in the near future when you are working out of the tutorial environment. As expected, we've got our user stories. Okay, we've got a figure. What I really like here is we've got more flexibility than usual. Say, hey, do you know what? We trust you. You know what you're doing. It could be a figure or a div. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, baking, the console's always been there. Oh gosh, maybe I haven't been noticing it. Thank you. So asking to give that a specific class, elements with specific. Okay, so far, these look really, really familiar. Oof, and look at this. Look at this note they leave just for me. Don't forget to link your style sheet in your HTML. Otherwise, your CSS will not be applied. This might as well just be the Jess warning, huh? Oh, sorry, a little sound while I pour myself some water. So the big thing is I've asked y'all to go ahead and start this on your own if you can, but there's no deadlines and there's no hurry. But if any of you have any questions about this project, please, please, please let me know. But I am going to come over here. Oh, Christina's asking, oh, is that save button new or did you miss it early? I couldn't tell you because we do have the revert save run. I think it was very likely just laid out differently in different layouts. We're gonna come in here. Yeah, because like it automatically should save, but I believe they had like a make sure you're saving. No, yeah. So here's a preview of what we're gonna build. Oof, a form. Oof, a form. Okay. Okay, so we're a quiz. Oh, please. Sorry. I'm gonna start coding. And let me close some of these extra tabs that we don't need. Y'all can't see them, but they're driving me silly. So, oh, sorry. The reason y'all were seeing a different view is I had zoomed way, way in to show something off earlier. My effusive apologies. Y'all were seeing, so apparently the save button is indeed a thing, but only if you command and plus and zoom yourself well in. So I always try and zoom in as far as I can, but I want to be able to see how this is go. So for this workshop, we got our boilerplate. Start the accessibility. Okay, okay. It's not amazing design, but design's hard. So a lang attribute in our HTML element. And here, I think our language is probably going to be set to English, just because I remember the content in this being set to English. Okay, okay. So also remember to link your style sheet to the page. Let's work that out as well. Link rel equals style sheet. And the ref here is styles.css. Check our code. 1%. We are not doing all this today, huh? Remember the meta element? Cool. We're going to set a meta element. And we're going to set the character set to UTF-8. Yeah, it's the encoding supported by most browsers. Check our code and bop, bop, bop. We're going to add the viewport. And can somebody who's not me remind me what the viewport is doing? So meta viewport. Content is just grabbing the viewport MDN link. Hmm. Is it meta name equals viewport, huh? Yeah. Lucy, thank you so much, my love. So Lucy here is going to set, sorry, Lucy, you're not going to do it. You don't have to do it. With this meta, this viewport in our meta tag is going to set the dimensions of the viewport of the window that this is going to, our users will display this. And you're saying like, hey, usually this is included in the boilerplate, so you don't have to enter it. I admit that this is always included in my boilerplate. So I'm over here like, oh, how do I do it? How do I do it? It is so okay to constantly forget things. The whole world is hard and the whole world is stressful. Might as well go ahead and try and get through this together. Let's get our content. Ah, okay. And I've just gotten so used to this being a one-touch thing that I'm a bit rubbish about it. But y'all are really, really chill with me being a little bit rubbish. Here is the code that is almost always included in your boilerplate. Gosh, and we are just going to get started in this. We're not going to go forever. This is a nice long workshop, but we're going to do the easy parts together if that's okay, and abandon you cruelly for the hard parts solo. Here we've got width is going to be equal to device width and our initial scale is going to be set to 1. Unless I've typoed something in here. Okay. Do I not need to viewport name? I was pretty sure I did. Yeah, I absolutely do. Let's see. Okay, let's just talk through it. We've got our meta tag, not a problem. The name is equal to viewport. Okay. Here we're setting our content attribute, and within the quotations, our width device. Our width is equal to the device width. Okay. And then we've got a comma, and we're setting the initial scale. We're setting that to 1. Let's see if I typed that right this time. Everything is terrible, but this is okay. And stunning time for a break. So Bootcamp is free. Free code camp. Free is in the name. And y'all better not spend any money you don't have. But if you do have extra cash and you found the free code camp curricula really, really useful, they're a registered charity. So donating them is an especially cool thing to do. But the whole world is stressful and everything's expensive. Please, please, please do not spend money you don't have. I'm not trying to tell y'all how to spend your money. So here, we also want another meta tag. The name here is going to be set to nim. It's going to be set to the description. And then the content. Oh, what's that? Oh gosh, what's a useful description of this? A CSS accessibility quiz? It likes it. If the system is happy, I'm happy. Lastly, in the head, let's get a title element. Ooh, so one thing I really like about this workshop is it gives us a little bit more flexibility. It lets us, oh, okay, so they went ahead and expanded out. They said, actually, I want this content to say Free Code Camp Accessibility Quiz Practice Project. Fine, fine. But here, inside our head, I'm going to add a title. Okay. Accessibility quiz. If they're happy, we're happy. So in here, let's start breaking out the body, like the sort of structure of our code. We're gonna have a header. Why do we want a header and a main? Like, what are these doing? I mean, yeah, they're breaking up different sections of the code, but why might I care? Or why might different types of users care? So our header will introduce the page and we'll put our nav in there. And here, the main element is gonna be the main stuff on our page. Let's keep going. I'll let y'all tell me why we want these headers and mains, right? Inside the header, we're going to nest one image, h1 and nav. And often the language around nest can be really difficult, but it sounds like the image, h1 and nav are all within the header, that they're not sort of nested inside each other. So I'm going to try that first and just see. We've got, oh, y'all yell at me anytime you do an image. What must you include? So you do have to have a source, but what else must you include? Yeah. You always got to have good alt text unless. So. This is a question. When do you not have to write good alt text, but what do you have to do instead as well? Lucy's after my own, like all of y'all are so lovely. Lucy's out here saying, hey, when we're talking about adding this main and this header, it builds the semantic structure. So way back week 2, week 3, we focused on semantic HTML and really covered that semantic HTML makes it easier for machines to read your page, but also tools to read your page. So this is going to be like solid semantic HTML is going to be so much more accessible. Yeah, y'all are absolute sweethearts for me being really excited all the time about semantic HTML and accessibility. Thank you so much for being excited for me. Oh, thank. Actually, this is really good. Okay, so what 2 times do you not have to write good alt text? Dang, I completely forgot about this. Okay, so if you've got captions connected, like tightly connected to it, you don't want that to be like the exact same thing twice. If the caption's effectively the alt text, you wouldn't want to write the alt text. Thank you. You are absolutely right. I absolutely love y'all's creativity. So that's not what I was aiming for in my question, but you got me that that is absolutely correct. There's one other time that you don't have to. And it's going to sound really similar to when you would want to hide things from the accessibility tree. So here, we're going to add an ID as well. You don't always have to have an ID. You don't always have to have a class. The ID is logo. And here our alt is going to be, I don't love this alt text. I would have the alt text say like Free Code Camp logo. Lucy, perfect. Lucy's like, if that image is purely decorative, like it carries no information that you think it needs to be perceived, Ed is, y'all know that Ed is backstage. You can't see it, but I can see her. She looks very cute today. Every now and again, when I say something silly, I can just see her go, I like very politely sort of mouth the right answer. It must be very frustrating to be Ed. She's needlessly gracious. So I disagree with this alt text. I think this is not amazing alt text, but we've got our image. Let's go ahead and have that H1. And that's the other thing. Like we've talked again and again, y'all are so patient about the H1B. Oh, it's an HTML and CSS quiz. You are so, so patient. One of the reasons I really like teaching is I really like to get to bother learners with my philosophical approach to things. Got our nav, but nothing's in it yet. And I really, really like the idea that a lot of the ways we approach building for the web, building webs, is really philosophical. So here, we're going to use the type selector to change the size of our image. This is also kind of philosophical because, oh, wait, no, I'm not going to tell you this. Somebody who's not me. Why would we maybe want to set this a different way? Why would we want to specify the size of our logo differently than a type selector? What might make things challenging for us? Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I thought we were going to use this type selector, and my point was that's going to set the CSS rules for all of our images, and that's not cool. We might want different images to have different styling rules, which we could do with a class or ID. And I jumped way ahead of myself. And this is saying, hey, Jess, I'm not asking you to set this with a type selector because, again, that would be a little silly. I want you to use the ID of that. And I cannot, for love or money, remember what the ID is. So I'm going to get rid of the preview. Thank you very much. I'm going to come back in here and find that image. Where'd you go? Oh, the ID's logo. Okay. Yeah. Everything's terrible, but this can't hurt us. Let's bring our preview back. And oh gosh, it is a hash sign for a it's a pound sign or a hash for an ID. And for a class, it would be a dot, huh? I'm going to come right back here. So we're going to set our width. Oh gosh, of course. Y'all are going to be better than me at not reading half the instructions, yeah? So we're going to set it to either 10 REM or 18 VW. Can somebody remember what 18 VW, what percentage of that? So what is the unit of measurement that would be examining? And what percentage of that unit of measurement would it be? Oh gosh, thank you. So young folks might say the hashtag sign or the hash octothorpe, yeah. And yeah, coming back to why we might want to, why we might not need alt text, it's because if we had just, I thank you so much. You've been answering these really, really helpfully today, and I really appreciate it. So the same. So if we had an image where the image is purely decorative, we don't need to have that alt text, but we do then have the responsibility of saying, hey, this image is purely decorative. I'm going to remove this from the accessibility tree. I'm going to leave it visually perceivable, but I'm going to remove it from the accessibility tree just so that folks using assistive technology don't hit this and go, what is that? It doesn't have alt text. Is it important? Oh, so this is really, really useful. I'm so sorry. I hope I'm not picking on you by pulling out your questions and comments so often. So I think that this really, really touches on this. When we're talking about when to not use alt text, hey, if something's hard to describe, we still want to go ahead and try it. Unnecessary. The word unnecessary here is so useful to say, hey, this image, which I'm not writing alt text for, and instead I'm going to remove from the accessibility tree, it is unnecessary or distracting or unhelpful to describe this because somebody coming through and perceiving this content and getting a screen reader to tell them that this is a white spacer block, that added nothing to their day. That was unnecessary, which is a really good way to say it. Uladil. So a VW is the user's viewport width. So this is the window they're looking at your website. And 18 viewport width is going to be 18% of it. Everything's terrible, but this can't hurt us. Let's check our code. I did. 10 rem, 18 view width. Image. Scale. What are you doing? Scale the image using the ID as a selector. Hmm. Max. Y'all. Oh, it's literally telling me this here right now. Y'all, I'm so sorry. If it's useful, I will pledge very, very solemnly to go and have a coffee immediately after this. But if it's useful, I can pretend that I've been trying to model that. Y'all are just in here in the chat like, yes, put it in the parentheses. Please, I'm begging you. And add that max. And Abyss as well. It's like, please, sort that out. Y'all are gloriously patient. Oh, cool. We've got folks in the chat who are like, oh, I want to learn a bit more of this to apply it to WordPress. Do you know, I'm so sorry I haven't checked recently, but I think WordPress, like 1/5 of the websites on the web are WordPress. Like WordPress skills are really, really valuable these days. And the co-creator of WordPress lives in the UK and is just the nicest gent in the world. Oh, we don't have coffee or anything. I don't know him especially well. I've just run into him once or twice. It's like, what a nice young man. What a nice gent, roughly my age. Okay. Oh, so this is really good. As described in the Free Code Camp style guide. Oh, stunning. I've got a really good question, but first I'm going to come in here because a style guide is going to be something we see a lot. So a style guide, if you're just working on your own website for your own fun, you can do whatever you want, kinda, right? But you can do whatever you want as long as it's accessible. Yeah, that's about it. You can do it if you're building your own websites for yourself and nobody else is working on them, you can do whatever you want as long as it's accessible and it won't bring the cops to your house. But if you're working on a team, you probably are going to have some shared guidelines. Here, a design guide is going to tell you about what different things look like or need to look like. And these are going to be really common on bigger teams. Yeah, let me share this. These are really good to look at to like, oh, this is what it's going to feel like to be working on a bigger team. Somebody is pointed out that I often say everything's terrible, but it can't hurt us, and asking if that's from like a television show or uh, no, I'm so sorry. That's just something I've gotten into the habit of saying. Yeah, the whole world is a little bit stressful these days. So whenever there's a low stakes mistake, I like to call out, hey, stuff is bad, stuff is hard, but this thing right now today, not going to be able to hurt us. I used to say everything's fine. It used to be something that my colleagues, oh, we're changing our background color, and coworkers would lightly tease me about, where I was like, everything's fine. And even then, things weren't fine. But as the world got a bit more stressful around us, it felt more and more honest and fair to say, everything's a little cursed, but I'm going to add that padding as well. Everything's a little cursed, but this thing we're looking at right here isn't going to be able to hurt us. So here we've changed our background color. We've got that aspect ratio that was spelled out in our style guide, if anybody wants to go through and dig through it, and the padding. So here we're trusting the instructions, but if you're building something, you're probably going to have to dig through the style guide and follow the rules in the style guide. Got a question for saying, hey Jess, you've said accessibility tree a bunch of times. Is this a literal tree? This is the purest, most lovely question. So the accessibility tree is unfortunately not a literal thing. It's very figurative. Hmm, it's a real figurative model. So the same way there's a document object model for the way things are, the way aspects of HTML are incorporated into our web pages. Our accessibility tree is really, really similar to that. That's the sort of structure of an individual page that folks can tab through or experience or have a screen reader help guide them through. This is such a good question. Y'all are never asking silly questions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Whoa. So we've got that width, which was just like pulling teeth. Thank you so much, y'all. Gonna check our code. We'll keep bopping on. I'm gonna keep working on this with y'all for about 15 more minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes, because y'all can tell by me going, oh wait this, that it is absolutely time for me to have a little tiny baby coffee in my day. So the header, we're gonna use a type selector for this, I bet. And we want to make it take the full width of its parent container. And I think we can do this by setting the width to 100%. If that's not the right way to do it, it's going to come back and yell at us. We've got tons of tests built in. We can experiment. Everything's okay. We're going to set the height for this header to 50 pixels. And I've gone ahead and used the type selector for the header because there's only one. I'm not going to worry about setting rules for the header and, oh no, the other header, there's just the one. Background color. Let's set our background color here to this. Ooh, then we're going to set our display to Flexbox. Actually, this is going to be really, really helpful because I think y'all have gotten pretty used to Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, usually me teaching. And then Thursdays and Fridays, you usually have wonderful, wonderful Carmen. And I cheated and took Monday off this week, and you got extra Carmen. That means I'll be seeing you on this Thursday, but also next week, we're changing the days around a little bit as well. So we're going to be learning CSS Grid next week, and I'm terrible at CSS Grid, and I hate it. So instead of having me grumble the way through it, you get, oh gosh, it's not Flex Box, it's Flex. Thank you. You'll have Carmen, who's actively excited about Grid. And Grid is super powerful, it's super useful. And because Carmen is terrible at negotiating, do a type selector for H1. I set our color to. Because Carmen is terrible at negotiating, she's traded me CSS animations for her doing CSS Grid, which is really, really great. Love CSS animations. She loves CSS. She loves CSS Grid. Win-win. I set our font size. I'm going to set it to min. The minimum font size is going to be 5% of the viewport width, and then 1.2 EM. Yes, we're like, we had Etta come on a couple times to say hi. You know, we make her do so much work behind the scenes. Every time something works well or sounds smart, Etta. And yeah, we've got folks saying like, hey, do you know what? It'd be nice to see the contrast between Flexbox and Grid. It's going to be really, really nice. I'm probably going to join like in the audience. So in the navigation, we're going to add an unordered list. So I'm going to remove the CSS for now. It's not actually being removed. But this is in our nav. So we're going to start an unordered list. I'm going to end an unordered list. And in here, we're going to have some list items. Cool. All right. And those should be links. So I've written this out exactly one time. Yeah, so this is a really good question. Let's come back to this. So minimum of, you know what, I'm going to toss this HTML in the closet for a second, just pop it up on the shelf. We're going to come back to where we got this. So this is a really good question. So hey, what we're looking at here. So in our H1, this is our type selector. It says anytime you see an H1, apply these rules. Give me this color. And that we could have said font color as well. That's fine. And for our font size, for here, the minimum is me saying the smallest I want you to allow this to be set is either 5% of the viewport width or 1.2 EM. And this is especially helpful because if I say, hey, please make sure that 5% of the viewport width is the smallest you're able to make this font. If somebody's looking at this on the teeniest, tiniest, if somebody's got a fancy, expensive smartwatch and they're looking at this on there, 5% of that viewport width might be too small to see. So here I'm saying, hey, please, sorry, hey, I speak to my CSS very, very informally. Hey. Um, if you're more polite than me, I'm terribly sorry, browser, if you don't mind. When you present this font for my H1, I want to make sure the size is no smaller than 5% of the viewport width, unless that size would be smaller than 1.2 EM. In that case, please make it 1.2 EM. So this is an or, and this is to make sure that it doesn't get too teeny tiny on us. That is such a good question, and thank you. I'm going to bring my index back out off the shelf and chuck my CSS away. So here I made a list item with a link in it, close my link and a list item. And because I am the laziest web developer, because the laziest developers are, so this is really good saying, yeah. So when you've got an or setup here, it'll try and apply the first one first to say, hey, you know what? Don't make this any smaller than 5% of the viewport width, unless 5% of viewport width would be smaller than 1.2 EM. In that case, don't make it any smaller than 1.2 EM. Yeah. So it's going to try and default to that. And it can be bigger than this. Remember, this is our minimum size. So, hey, as you shrink this, as you shrink this to fit responsively, don't make it smaller than that 5% of viewport, unless that's so small that it's smaller than 1.2 EM. Thank you. So here we don't have links. We don't know where this is going to go yet. I bet that these are going to be links within the page, huh? Info, HTML, and CSS. Let's check our link. And you know what? What I'm probably going to do is check my code and take a look at the next step and maybe piece out. Oh, no, I'm going to do this one because it's hard. So I always forget this one. I'm going to pop that index away. So we're using the child combinator selector, which I always consistently, stubbornly refuse how to do. So here you can set the parent element and then this child selector, this little duck nose arrow, to say, hey, whenever you see this parent and this set child to that, apply these style rules. And okay, that's hard to picture, but maybe I'm saying every time I see anytime I have a div, and that div has a H2 in it, then I want the background color to be pink. So here, if I have a div that doesn't have an H2, it's not going to do anything. But if I have a div that has an H2 in it as child, the background color just of the H2 should turn pink. Is that all right? Okay. Oh, and I'm grabbing the MDN Flexbox documentation. Here we go. Just dropping y'all these as we go. So we don't have a div with an H2 in it. That's not relevant. So here we want to say if you have a parent that's a nav, and inside that nav, if you have any unordered list elements, let's set those rules. Is it flex auto? Does that feel right? Doesn't feel right. Let's check our code. Okay, just a display of flex. Oh yeah, oh, because we've set, oh, hang on. Okay, so what we're doing here is, here in our header, we've got a display of flex set. And here within within the unordered list for the unordered list that's a child of the nav element, we want to also say, hey, Flexbox auto arrange these items that sit within it. The hard question is this code. I'm going to drop it in the chat, even though it's going to get all messed up formatting wise. Does it? Yeah, it gets messed up formatting wise. Look, I'm going to bring this back. Looking at our index, thank you very much. Oh, goodbye, preview. What is that going to apply to? Which elements are going to be automatically evenly arranged by this setting this display to flex? And because there's always a brutal delay, while one of you becomes the most legendary teacher's pet by telling me which element or elements is going to be arranged by targeting the unordered list that is the child of the nav here, I am going to come all the way back to our notes and look at what I'm going to ask you to look at solo. Oh no, look at this, look at this, look how terrible. Isn't this exciting? This is, so I'm always saying, hey, everything's terrible, but this can't hurt us. Look at how much reading, look how much theory. Maybe this can hurt us. So tomorrow we are going to have a theory heavy day. Yeah. I'm going to gently and kindly ask you to read as many of these as you can and take notes. And joyously, so that is so much theory. It's going to suck, but we're going to start to draw and have a cute little time. Yeah, I'm going to be really excited. So we're going to, because I'm selfish and the meanest teacher possible, we're going to try and draw as much as this cat together as possible, but also try it solo, please. And then we're going to ask you to work on this workshop on your own. And baking really helpfully is like floats. Floats are really fiddly to sort of learn. Yeah, absolutely. So Eulidel's like, hey, what this is going to do is it's going like when we the code we've looked at, nav ducky beak unordered list, set the display to flex. It's going to take the list items and those are going to have those lined up. Baking's asking for the cat, like, oh, can we use animation to teach it how to meow? Stunning news. Next week, because Carmen is a sucker, or much more accurate. That's very mean to say about somebody who's smarter than me, because Carmen is much kinder than I am. She's going to be working on CSS Grid with y'all, and we will be working on animation to do a cute little flappy penguin. So probably with this huge amount of theory to cover, we probably won't have time to apply animation to it, but after we learn the little flappy penguin, y'all are joyously able to apply that. I'm so sorry that I'm rubbish with remembering different types of punctuation. So that, oh, the angle brackets. Yes, the right angle bracket, not the little ducky beak. Cool. So this is a ton of reading. It's absolutely brutal. The z-index property, that's gonna feel real weird at first. So we're gonna do a little exercise. I'll go to my library and bring some of my favorite books and we can just like pick them up and stack. That's not true. I'll go to my library and I'll bring some very visually different colored books that are not necessarily my favorite books because it's easier with books that are a much different color. And we'll look at the z-index by like stacking and unstacking books together. But very importantly, what I'm going to do for right now is let you go. There's tons and tons of work in here. We do not expect you to get out through all this before tomorrow. We're going at a pretty fast pace, but we've left the last 2 or 3 classes in this boot camp just for, hey, let's do some question and answer, and hey, let's do some work together. So if you're like, what about this from last week? What about this from last month? We're still around. Everything is stressful and the whole world is loud and busy, but we're still here. We'll let you go to have an easy morning or a glorious afternoon, or hopefully, if it's very late for you, to get some sleep. See you tomorrow, team.